People have an interesting fascination with the value of life. I was thinking about the fact that I don't really contribute to society. I mean, if you really look at my life, I have never been an adequate contribution to society. I mean, from as early as I can remember, I've never wanted to do things for others, for society. I mean, there have been ideas that I came up with that are like, oh, well, if we change this or this, it would be a better version of this other thing. But it was always more or less just a means of satisfying my own curiosity. It was for me. It was selfish. I didn't give a shit about anybody else. I do in the sense that, I would love everybody to have, a comfortable life and not worry about all these things. But I'm not willing to put in the fucking effort. I'm not going to go dig a goddamn well for you. I'm not going to spend, hundreds of thousands of dollars. Don't have that money anyway. But I'm not going to do all of that to help you out. Now, that may sound like I'm just some super ass. I don't know. If I had hundreds of thousands of dollars to just throw away, then maybe. Maybe. I don't know. But then, on top of it, it's like, there's so many stipulations on how you can spend your money and, how much taxes and this and, if you don't do it right or something happens and then now you're responsible for it. I mean, it's no wonder people don't fucking just throw money in people's faces. I was thinking, the reason why I don't think I contribute to society at all is because I look at my past. Like I said, ever since I was young, I never cared about getting a job. I didn't care about getting a job to help people or to provide a service or anything like that. And even when I did consider it, even when I considered providing a service, I realized I'm not very good at it. I'm not. There are people in this world who are way better at it. You might say, oh, well, practice makes perfect. Well, that's bullshit, for one. People who have talent will always be better than people who put the effort into it. Now, of course, if you're not putting the effort into it when you have the talent, it's worthless. Of course. But two people side by side, one who has a talent for it, one who doesn't. The person with the talent will always outshine the person who puts in the effort. Always. The 10,000 hour rule thing is a bunch of bullshit. There's been plenty of studies on that nowadays, and for all intents and purposes, the effort barely makes up anything. The people who are good at it, who put in the effort, stay good at it. But when you got people who are professional, who are doing something amazingly good. I mean, look at football players. There was an article I read recently about this. And they were talking about athletics, Olympians especially. And the differences between them are barely noticeable. It didn't matter how much time this person put into it, really. Inevitably, the amount of effort, you hit a plateau, and it's not going to matter anymore. The only thing that's going to matter is things that you can't actually change. Now, if you're talking about like techniques and things like that, yes, obviously Olympians have gone crazy when it comes to what they can do. If you look back 100 years versus now, our Olympians are absurdly better in every way. But a lot of his performance, and I don't mean it in necessarily, I mean, yes, there's like time and duration and certain types of skill, but there's also performance in the sense of flair. There's a BMX competitor, and I think he just did like a 1080 in the air with the flip or something like that. I don't remember what it was. But it was a 1080, which is like apparently unheard of. Well, now that he's done it, sort of the 100 monkey rule thing happens. Now it's going to start happening more. Just when figure skaters couldn't do, if women figure skaters couldn't do a triple Lutz, and then now they can. Or a triple axel, sorry. The triple axel was always the hardest for women. Now, if you're a figure skater, you're going to do triple axels, period. And that's the thing, like once somebody shows it can be done, everybody else notices. Everyone. They notice, and they're like, oh, hey, well, you're going to do this thing, or you're not going to be a part of this thing. So what does that have to do with me? Why do I think I don't contribute? Well, like I said, there has never been an inherent desire to do so. Think about that for a second. There are people out there who want to do stuff because they're good at it. Oh, hey, I'm good at drawing, so I'm going to keep drawing. And then people tell them they're good at drawing, so they keep drawing. There are people who are great at marketing, selling. There are fantastic customer service people. There are fantastic coffee makers. Then there are people who are okay enough that they believe in themselves. They believe their ability, even though their ability is not all that great. They think they can, and they think they can do better than what they're doing, and so they constantly push themselves to do better, even though, for all intents and purposes, they're really not. But because of that belief, because of that desire to push themselves, to motivate themselves, they contribute. Because even though they're not that great at it, they think they are, so they keep trying. Occasionally, however, you end up with shitty situations where, oh, hey, I know how to make a perfect cup of coffee, and then they make a shitty cup of coffee, and then you have to deal with it. That's when their contribution is like spitting in your face. Me, I can't really do anything. Anytime I attempt to think about something or do something, my interest in it just disappears after a couple of months, typically. Sure, right now, I've been focusing a lot on, like, production side of things. Radio is the certificate that I'm getting into, but I've been looking at these jobs online, and I'm like, well, I would like to work behind the scenes in film, television, and whatever. I like that stuff. I just helped a friend out this past week, and I recorded at her place. It was on Monday. I was her camera guy. I was her sound guy. We could only do so much because we only had so many people, but I did what I could. I don't know what the result is, because whenever we would listen to stuff, it just didn't sound right. We don't know what the problem was. So there may have been a bigger issue at hand. I'm not sure. Or it all worked out, no big deal. Who knows? Thing is, though, I know I'm not good at that stuff. I want to keep doing it, but I'm not good at it. Now, part of it is time. Yes, there is, in anything, you have to put some kind of time into it. You have to put the effort into it. Putting in the hard work helps to a degree. After a while, though, you're going to reach a plateau, and you'll never go above it. Ever. You'll reach your limit. Problem is, for me, that's often really soon. I almost always hit some kind of limit really, really soon. Because no matter how much I'm able to understand something, my interest in it disappears. No matter how hard I want to stay interested in it, no matter how much I would love to pursue it, to continue pursuing it, my mind wanders somewhere else. And it's like a fish off of a hook. It doesn't matter how hard you reel. It doesn't matter what you try to do. You don't have that fish on that hook anymore. It's gone. You might get another fish sometime later that's similar size, to the same species, but it ain't the same fish you had before. You learned from it, sure, and you retained a decent amount of information. Me and meteorology is a perfect example. On and off, for 20 years, I studied meteorology. But you'll never see me become a meteorologist. I'm not even hobbyist. I had a book about it back when I was a security guard, and I was reading about it all the time because we had this crazy situation with weather that was happening, and the entire month of June, it was just fucking raining. And this creek that was behind our building was just filling up with water. It got to the point where it reached the retaining wall for the building. And that's like a 20-foot difference. It was nuts. And it sparked that, it reintroduced the idea of meteorology in my mind. And I loved it. I loved reading about it. I loved talking about it. It was fun for me. But I'm not the kind of person who becomes a meteorologist. There's too much behind the scenes work that I don't want to do. I have no incentive. No, the incentive is the wrong word. There is no drive to do that. One, I'm not a computer programmer. I've tried it. I suck at it. I'm bad at it. And I see no point in pursuing it because I'm bad at it. What is it that Jake the dog says? Sucking at something is the first step to becoming sort of good at something. Sure. But I'm at least self-aware enough to know that I can progress. That when I'm doing something, that I'm actually learning and getting somewhere with it. Computer programming, not so much. It didn't matter what I was doing. It always felt like I was doing something wrong. And even when I got results, they weren't really results. They were shit. So I gave up on it because what's the point? You have to understand futility. You have to understand futility. Because if you don't, you can waste a lot of your fucking time. Now, obviously, there's a balancing act. Don't give up on everything. I try not to give up. But it doesn't often work. I feel like I'm in a better place right now. Even though I don't feel like I'm in a better place mentally right now. I know at some point I'm going to need to seek and find counseling and therapy, but that shit ain't fucking free. And I don't have a job, and I'm running low on money, and ain't nobody paying me for this shit. Oh, people love me. They love it when they hear me talk, but ain't none of them fucking paying me. Not a single one. I've been paid essentially twice for this. I got 2 tips on Twitch. That's it. Amounted to a total of $6 before Twitch took their cut. I tried my hand at voice acting. I'm okay at it. I've decided to pretty much put that on a pause, on a halt for now. Because I know what my limitations are. I know that If I want to be a human, I need to continue taking acting. I need to. It helps me understand, and it helps me break out and break down a lot of these walls that I put up when I was younger. Some have told me I should write a book about my life. I'm not a good writer. I realized that the other day. I mean, I kind of realized it a lot, but I was finally able to understand why I'm not. I don't know how to compel. I'm unaware of how to word things in such a way that creates and evokes emotion. I'm an explainer. That's what I am. I explain. I don't even know what the right word is for somebody who can do those compelling and evocative things. Like, the word doesn't come to me. I don't know what it is that they do. I can explain a number of things in life. I can break shit down. And yet, I'm sitting here trying to think, what does a writer do? They're not talking to you, or anyone really. They're not explaining anything. They're not even telling you anything. There's this concept of show, don't tell. I don't understand. I don't understand how that works. I don't understand even what it means. How do you show with words? There are no show. You're reading it. And I understand, maybe that makes me sound like an idiot, but I feel like one too. I feel like an idiot when I can't explain something that's seemingly so simple. It seems so fucking simple, but I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to connect with people. I don't know how to establish a relationship with people. And that's one thing that I realized I should stop writing. Because writing any story that's worth anything, the relationships are what matter the most. It doesn't matter what the fucking story is. Look at Lord of the Rings. Look at Gimli when he wants a lock of Galadriel's hair. Now, apparently there's a history of another dwarf, I think, who asked like 3 different times for a lock of her hair and she denied it. And it was because he wanted like proof, or it was some sort of superficial reasoning. That superficial reasoning creates a relationship between those people. She effectively doesn't trust in his motives. Because he doesn't care about her. He cares about him and what he can get from it. Right? It would be like getting an autograph from a celebrity so that you can sell it versus meeting them, loving what they do, getting that autograph, and then holding on to it for the rest of your life. That's the difference. Right? So when Gimli got the lock of hair, he got the autograph that he's going to hold on to forever. And like I said, apparently there's some sort of like lore behind it, and I think I read it on Tumblr, Imgur, at Screencapped Tumblr, or something like that. But that's a relationship. There are relationships between all of us. If you and another person are in any way connected to each other, no matter how superficially, there's a relationship. It's you and your boss, you and your parents, you and your siblings, you and your cat, hell, you and your bicycle. There's a relationship there. one of the reasons why I realized that I would be a bad writer is I don't know how to establish relationship. I have cut myself off from my family members, which I'm okay with, because it's not really a healthy situation. All of my previous relationships have been shit. Girlfriends, friendships, and the like. I got 100 and some odd friends on Facebook right now. Rarely do I ever get a message from any of them. I post shit all fucking day. Nobody ever has a conversation with me. I see friends going and hiking and having a good time with each other. Nobody invites me anywhere. Sure, I was invited to parties, and parties are good for networking. But if you have nothing to contribute, networking is also pointless. And the funniest thing is this has been my life. This has been my life. When I was a kid, 6, 7, 8 years old, that's what my life was. Solitude, a lack of friendships, people not initiating with me. And then on top of it, I don't feel like I have anything to contribute. Or I feel like if I am trying to contribute, I'm not being genuine. So I don't. I don't initiate, is what I mean. I don't initiate the contribution. I don't start conversations with people on the internet because, one, it feels weird. I don't feel like my intention comes through properly. I'm not an efficient human being. What is an efficient human being? To me, anyway, an efficient human being is someone who has all the qualities that tie things together, if you will. They contribute to society. They desire to contribute to society. They volunteer, not because of their own sake. Make sure there's no selfless good deed, of course. They volunteer because they want to. They don't do what I do, which is, I could volunteer and maybe help somebody, but I don't want to. I want to put in the time. I don't want to try that. I don't think it's going to help me out, and it's not going to help them out. So why bother? They don't do that. They go and volunteer. They understand that, and even I understand this. I understand that if I go somewhere and volunteer my services, that I could meet people, and I could develop more relationships. But I don't do it anyway. Because despite the fact that I want relationships, despite the fact that I want people to understand me, and I want to understand them, there's a point where I stop putting in the effort. I'm no longer internally driven. I stop talking to certain people. I just move on. Just like that fish that I lost.
With my mighty robot powers, I can get sick of things much quicker than you humans.
Really, the only people that I continually try to communicate with are the people that I talk to on a regular basis. That's it. Now you might say, oh, well, then just start doing that. It's a momentum thing. When I lose the momentum, it's gone. And then I also feel that if I haven't talked to somebody in months or weeks, and then I start talking to them again, I'm going to come off as somebody who's looking for something. Which, interestingly, I don't ask people for favors. One of the little social experiments that you can do, this is a fun little trick that you can do to make people like you. Asking them for favors. Small favors. Because if they do it, well, apparently they like you to some degree, right? I don't ask anybody. Because I don't want to be imposing. I don't want to be, even though I understand this, I understand what this is, this little psychological trick. I still don't fucking do it. It's like having a heater and not turning it on when it's cold. I don't know why. I don't know why. And then I bitch that nobody talks to me. And yet, I still don't feel like I have the answers to my problems. I don't know what it is. I think, honestly, probably at least once or twice a week, sometimes a little more often, it's been more frequently recently, that I'm an absolute idiot. Because I know where some of the answers are, yet I still don't do them. It's like, in the last week, I realized, hey, I need to go to the library. I need to go start reading some books. It takes maybe 20, 25 minutes to walk to the library. But then I'll have to get a card and go through whatever process that is, and then I'll have to look and try to find some books. And that just sounds exhausting. Because I think I'll pick up a book and keep reading it, instead of picking it up, reading it for maybe 2 or 3 hours, getting a few chapters in because I'm highly distracted and I don't really get anywhere with it. And then I put it down and I forget about it. And then it'll be time to turn it in. Because that's my life. That's been my life. It's everything. I don't know if people get that. I don't know if people truly understand and grasp that idea. That is every single thing in my life. Hell, just yesterday, I woke up about 2 hours ago. It's 1 a.m. I had no intention of sleeping at 3 fucking in the afternoon or whenever the hell I went to sleep. I don't even remember what the hell time it was. I think it was 8 actually. Or something. I don't even remember. I don't even remember now. I think I woke up at 9. I fucking don't know. And this was 4 or 5 hours ago, max. This is what I'm talking about. Right here. This is what I'm talking about. What people, I don't think, really grab onto and understand. When I woke up, I hadn't even realized it at the time. I had gone into the kitchen a few times. For what, I don't know. But at some point, I was sitting here and I remembered that I had cooked some chicken breast, which incidentally turned out to be pieces of dry ass shit. Yay. I had put them in the slow cooker. It was a barbecue sauce recipe that I saw online. I wanted to slow cook them because I figured slow cooking would probably, maybe, make it a little more juicy or something. I don't know. No, I was wrong. But when I was done, I was like, oh, okay, I'll go ahead and, I'll grab a couple pieces. I'll go eat them. Let's turn off the slow cooker so it can cool down, and then I can handle that stuff later. That was at like 1:30 p.m. yesterday, so almost 12 hours ago. About a half hour ago, or before I started recording this, because it's been over half an hour since I started talking, I realized I never took out the remainder and put it in the fridge or did anything with it. All I did was unplug the machine. That's it. I unplugged the machine, took out 2 pieces, came in here and ate them. A couple hours later, fell the fuck asleep for some reason. What the fuck? This is a daily occurrence in some way or another. This shit happens every fucking day of my life. So, because that is such a common occurrence, why would I ever be able to be consistent at anything when the basic foundation of my life is inconsistent? You can't build a fucking house on sand. I cannot establish a life that needs a solid foundation. And in a way, that is what makes a human an efficient human, is that they have a solid foundation in life. I don't have one. My foundation is sand. The only thing that I can think of, really, that keeps me going every day, every week, every month, every year, is the hope that I get lucky. I am relying on luck because I don't know how to do the other stuff. I don't know how to keep going. Sure, this is the longest I've ever gone college career, but every day, the closer I get to the end, the more I realize how unlikely it is that I'm gonna get anywhere doing it. When I see other people in my classes who are way better at it, who have better habits, better foundations, and are simply just better. If you ever listen, when I was doing the radio show this summer, if you ever listen, or if you had listened to those shows, there's a few people that fucking stand out. Here's the thing. They're the people who are going to get jobs. The rest of us are probably not. The rest of us are going to hope we're going to get jobs, and then probably end up at a place like Starbucks. We're going to hope we get to do something we like, but the chances are we're not going to. And then every fucking day, while we make shit wages, these people are pursuing what they want. Now, they may or may not be successful at it, but they're good enough And they're aware enough that they can keep pushing. They can keep challenging themselves. Me? All I'm fucking doing is trying to become a human. I'm not prepared for the world. I'm not. I have never been prepared for this world. And that is why I know for a fact that I'm a failure as a human. Because I can't even do the basics. I can't do the simple shit. And there are going to be plenty of people out there, whether they hear this or not. But I've been told, whether directly or indirectly, because people hold this perception and they don't get it. Oh, well, you're just not trying hard enough. Oh, you're just too fucking lazy. Oh, well, just get up and do it. Go fuck yourself. You've taken no time to try to understand. Why? Because you're one of the people who can do it. And you're biased. You're biased by your own ability. You're biased by your own drive and your own determination. I've met people who judge depressed people, who judge people who have various psychological issues. They need to get a grip on reality. It's like fucking rich people saying, stop being poor. Or, if only poor people would just have money, their life would be easier. You know, weird, stupid, ignorant shit like that. And the worst part about it all is, because I know that I am a failure as a human being, I am worthless in so many ways, that because I have so little value to be tapped into, it only makes sense, logically, that I no longer live here, that I'm no longer alive. Because what's the point, really? If you're here, people expect you to do something for them. But here's the funny thing. If you kill yourself, you're selfish. Why? Because you negatively affected other people. How fucking stupid is that? You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. It's a catch-22 either way. In essence, in order for you to be an efficient human being, you have to be selfish, and you have to tap into the selfishness of others. You have to want those things. You have to need them. I don't have them. I want to be selfless. And I don't want to spread the selfishness. It's like cigarettes. When I went to Job Corps, I knew for a fact that I could make money selling cigarettes. I could go to the store, I could buy a carton of cigarettes for like $25. That'd be all the money that I would have at the time, because we got like a stipend of like $27 or something like that per week. I could go to the store, I could buy a carton of cigarettes. That's 100 cigarettes total. I could turn around. I could sell each cigarette for 50 cents. I knew for a fact that I could do this. I could make $50 off of that pack, off that carton. $50. But I never did. Not once. Not in the 9 months I was there. I could have done that regularly. I could have done that each week. I could have made $50 a week. Essentially 25 profit. But the more you do it and you maintain your profits, then you're just buying a pack and you're only stacking on the profits. I could have done that every fucking week that I was there. But the business side isn't what bothered me. I knew I could make the money, and I knew there was a demand for it. But I didn't want to contribute to it. I didn't want people smoking. I didn't want to sell cigarettes. I didn't want to be around it. So I didn't do it. I don't want to be a janitor. I have no desire to clean up after people. I've done enough of it as it is. Fucking hated every minute of it. There are so few things in this life that I want. People want you. See, again, it's like what I said. You have to be able to tap into your own selfishness and the selfishness of others. You have to give them what they want, while somehow giving yourself the same thing, what you want. There's not a lot of that overlaps in my world. Oftentimes, the things that other people want, I don't care about. And I don't mean it in the sense that I don't care about you as a human being and that your feelings don't matter. I mean it in the sense of complete neutrality. I am aware and understand, but I have no feelings toward it. Or I have negative feelings towards it. That's pretty much it. Pretty much. I would love to be able to figure out what it is I can do that gives people what they want, and then they pay me. And, this is another thing, these people want to pay me. She had a great interaction with my friend when I went to go video for her. That's a weird way of putting that, but whatever. She told me that she was going to pay me. She didn't tell me how much she was going to pay me. She told me that she's going to do it via Venmo. Didn't tell me when it was going to happen. I'm at home, chilling. A couple hours later, boom. Venmo payment, $40. I think I was there for about 4 hours total. Actually doing any kind of work for about 3 hours. So she paid me more than minimum wage, which is usually a good thing for gigs because you don't know how often they're going to come and they're short-lived. So you need to be able to, it's usually a better idea to pay at least 25%, probably 50% or more. And the more hours you have to work, the more you should definitely be stacking on. The longer a project is, the more exponentially that amount should grow. Especially because it's a brief, who knows how long this is going to last kind of thing. Asking for money is very hard because people take it very personally. For some reason, even though you've done something that they should pay for. It's the one in the hand, two in the bush kind of thing. A bird in a hand is worth two in the bush. They're less likely to get rid of the thing they have. There are a number of practices that are expected of the average person. Punctuality, lack of flexibility, specialization, this sort of cutthroat, do everything that you can do to get the job done kind of mentality. I don't possess them. My mind exists in a world where currency is made of bottle caps. But the world I live in, the currency is gold. I have to constantly go through an exchange. Because I don't know how to integrate. In my LA life story, I spoke of the Venn diagram, and I've used this analogy often because I feel that it fits really well. You can have a Venn diagram of multiple things. It may start looking chaotic and weird, but within the Venn diagram is the set, the group, the culture, the society, whatever it is you want to call it. And those are the people that exist, obviously. The further in they are, the harder it is to reach. But if you're able to overlap enough, you end up getting more and more people. So, the people who are attracted to you versus the people that you're attracted to, that may not be a big overlap. Who knows? Maybe a small group and a big group, and they have a tiny overlap. Who knows? But I look at it as the groups that exist in my world. The actors and the techies and the intellectuals and the gamers and the geeks and the whatevers. Men and the women. I'm riding the rails around the edges of each of the circles. I don't belong to the group itself. Occasionally, I might per one of my circles, one of the edges, get down real deep into it. But I don't stay very long, because I'm always moving forward. I'm always on the rail. So I'm always moving in between different groups. And I don't belong anywhere other than there. When you feel like you belong everywhere and nowhere, it's hard to be right here. I'm always skirting the edge. Always. I don't choose to. To a degree I do, because there are qualities that I would rather have that lets me skirt those things. I don't do the negatively stereotypical things if I can avoid it, if I think about it long enough. Like just some weeks back when I went to play with one of my castmates from Romeo and Juliet, he honked at this pretty girl on the street, and I'm like, dude, what's the point in that? We fucking talked about it for like 30 minutes. He couldn't get it through his fucking head that it was inappropriate, because to him, he's thinking, A, I can do it no problem. There might be something positive that comes from it. And yet, he's only going after the slim chance that there might be a positive, and not realizing that the majority associated with that behavior is negative, and it's mostly on the other person. He doesn't care how he influences people. He only cares that he might get what he wants. I can't do that. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to convince myself to do that because I feel icky even wanting to. He doesn't give a shit. There are plenty of people who don't care. I mean, I was reading the AMA from Donald Trump earlier today in the Donald subreddit. And I noticed that most of his answers, as one might expect, are utter bullshit. There's a lack of specificity to them. The only specifics are names of things or people. It's like, we got to get rid of Obamacare. Hillary Clinton is a shill, etc., etc. And it got me thinking. And I was trying to wonder why. I was trying to understand why he was able to be where he's at. It took a moment. And I've known this for years, and I think a lot of people know this, but something really sunk in. And it just made so much sense. People don't care about facts. They don't care about reality. They don't care about the other side. They care about whatever fits the narrative that they've already accepted. Confirmation bias. If you believe that magic turns on that light across the room, doesn't matter what anybody shows you. It will just reaffirm that magic is involved. And you're just showing me how the magic works. Oh, the magic travels through that cable. It doesn't matter what the other side is. It doesn't matter what the rationale is. They don't care. They care about the narrative they've already told themselves. That's how this works. And I don't know how to fit in that world. I don't know how to fit in that world. Because I know otherwise. I am educated in that. And I don't know how to convince people. And I don't know how to convince myself. I don't know how to turn it off. And say, look, Justin, this is all you have to do. It doesn't matter if I tell myself that. It doesn't fucking work. I'm too hung up on the reality, on the truth. And no, I'm not a scientist because I don't have the fucking patience. Because I'm not very consistent. And I don't really care about contributing to society. All I've been trying to do all of my life is survive. That's all I know what to do. That's all I know how to do. I am just trying to live. And every single day, it gets harder.